Hello and welcome to the latest edition of AI in London. I'm Josh Friend with my co-host Michael Hammond. Michael will be joining us later with a special guest. Before Michael joins us, I'm going to be reading just giving you some updates on some general AI news in the marketplace. A little rapid fire edition here. And yes, we did use AI to write this news brief. So Perplexity AI plans to start running ads in the fourth quarter. If you're not using Perplexity AI, I highly recommend it. Perplexity AI is an AI-assisted search startup. Plans to introduce ads in its search app in the Q4 following increased usage and a recent $1 billion valuation. I use them all the time. I highly recommend them. Gemini and Gmail can now help you polish up your drafts. So Google is enhancing its AI-powered Gemini writing tools in Gmail, introducing a new polish feature for refining drafts alongside existing options like formalize and elaborate. Great additions. AI-powered docs, your secret flawless feature launches, image effortlessly creating precise brand documentation for every new feature that's guided at work. That's Adobe has developed a new AI-powered photo editing tool called Magic Fixit. It can perform complex edits that were previously challenging for AI systems. Think about being able to edit real-time pictures. Users can make coarse adjustments to an image, such as reposition an object or altering their size, and the AI will refine the edits and make it remarkable sophistication. AI 21 has released an updated version of its Jamba AI models, combining different approaches to enable more capable AI assistants. Minus X is a Chrome extension that automates data analysis and popular analytics tools, allowing you to explore your data with natural language. Amplibot automates WordPress blog content creation and social media sharing, targeting keywords and generating SEO-optimized articles. Using AI-powered coding, Replit, an online integrated development environment, you can now transform your PDF into a dynamic, interactive dashboard. Some latest news for you guys. Now back over to Michael, and hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Josh. Welcome to another episode of AI in Lending. We have an exceptional guest for you today. Ruth Lee is an industry icon, a mortgage and fintech innovator, and is founder and CEO of Big Think. Ruth, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me again, Michael. It's always so lovely to be here.
Oh, Ruth, I love having you. You have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. And when I say that, you've grown companies, you've sold companies in the mortgage space, you've helped with so many companies in operational, where they can gain efficiencies, how they can, improve what they're doing. And so I want to talk to you today about AI because
Mhm.
it's one of those buzzwords that everyone's talking about AI. A lot of people are claiming to be experts. Talk to me a little bit about where you see AI in lending right now. What's kind of the current landscape, the current state as you see it?
Well, right now, AI still remains relatively nascent in terms of what we are evolving and building within our industry. I think that right now people are trying to grasp what the capabilities, the functionalities are. At the same time, the technology itself is evolving faster and faster. It is exponentially moving in a different direction almost every single day, whether we're seeing, new opportunities, new foundational models, new large language models that are coming out. There is a race to superiority. At issue, there's also, some concerns that we as an industry are going to have about data security, and most importantly, about explainable AI. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But what I did want to say really quickly is that, I think that it's important as an industry that we are very judicious about how we proceed because we are in the spotlight. We are in the spotlight because we make decisions on people's credit, their accessibility to net worth and to wealth generation. And that's a really big responsibility.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it starts with education and understanding. So I think people have to learn in and start understanding some of these tools. That's why I want to have people like you that are experts in the industry that really have dived into AI. You've taken classes, I've
Mhm.
taken classes. So talk to me as we start diving into AI and kind of peeling back that onion. What are some of the foundational things you think we need to know as an industry? And then let's specifically go into where are people starting to use or try to use AI as it relates to the lending industry?
Well, I think first we need to understand that AI is not some magical thing that happens. It is something that people are using large and diverse data sets. One of the only reasons that we're able to really take advantage of this at this juncture is that we have been, data drunk almost in our industry. I won't say data rich, I will say data drunk. And because of that, it's really a very interesting play. How we are looking at, having the diverse data sets that can not only train, but can test the data as we move forward. And so it's a very interesting position to be in. And when you mention kind of the education, already we're seeing that certain states like California, Connecticut, Colorado, the CFPB recently came out with a piece where they are very concerned about AI decisioning on credit scores, on credit decisions, et cetera. And so when you start looking at, what does expertise mean? And I think that that's a question that we're going to have to ask in our industry. Because quite often in our industry, somebody once did a project, and so now they're an expert. And what I would say is that, myself, and when you call me an expert, I kind of cringe a little bit because, I took this great class at MIT. I do a lot of work in the discipline, but because it's so new, I mean, I have 30 years in mortgage banking and like a year and a half of artificial intelligence. And so I'm very, reticent to talk about expertise. But what I do find in the industry is we're finding a lot of people they're popping up all over the place as self-styled experts. And, if I ask them about even, you scratch a tablespoon deep and they have no idea. They've never heard of regression testing, not really sure what an algorithm is. But as an industry, we really need to, you don't need to get into what is a foundational model and what is, regression testing and what is a general adversarial network. But what I do think that you need to know is, how is your data maintained? Is it fair data? And can it do what you need for it to accomplish?
All right, so I want to hit this other topic that I see, and you did a fantastic job there. As we talk about AI, I see some major concerns.
Mm,
Some you've already voiced.
mm.
The other side of the spectrum, though, is I see the people that have those concerns or hear some of the things that you've said or other people have said. Got to watch out for data privacy, got to watch out for this. It reminds me of when I got in the industry, let's just say 25 plus years ago, Ruth. We don't have to put a date on it. And when I was getting in, only executives at the tech company I was working with had access to the internet. And there was all these stories about if we give our employees the access to the internet, they're going to screw around, they're going to watch movies, all of our data is going to be on the internet, people are going to steal all of our credit cards, all of our financial information is out there. Shit, let's not do the internet. And what scares me is we've got to be very reticent of what you're talking about, but I think the other flip side of it is the people that are just putting their heads in the sand and say, yeah, there's a lot of concern. I'm going to wait till it all gets figured out, and they're going to fall way behind. How do you balance that and kind of walk me through how you kind of weigh how people should lean in and start learning and understanding AI and where to have some, safeguards and not just willy-nilly start throwing data everywhere?
So every once in a while, my husband or I'll make a joke. Do you want to play a game? Because I go back to, I mean, you and I grew up in a generation that was pre-technology, and we've kind of ridden that entire road. And I will tell you, nobody's looking to go back to the Blockbuster store.
Right.
No, as an employer and as a company, I wasn't upset when I no longer had to pay $15,000 to $20,000 a month in long distance. When that just disappeared, I wasn't like, oh, shucky darn, I'd love to pay that. That really wasn't, so we have this opportunity. I think that the mistake would be, in much the same way that we made mistakes with social media, to not pay attention, to not really think through what the ramifications are of having, our data exposed and used and leveraged in this way. I don't think that there is an executive in the mortgage industry who doesn't look at the idea that they would have something, an AI working constantly in their blind spot to be able to uncover whether it's cost to service, cost to produce, ways to mitigate loss, ways to help borrowers, ways
Right.
to ensure that we are looking at data and decisioning in a different way. I don't think that any of us, if you are, I think it's foolish. It's like that old underwriter who was like, I want to do it back on the old manila file folders at my desk. Well, those are no longer options today, and I don't want to go back. I don't want to print off a ream of paper for every single file. At the same time, I think that it's very important that we look at the self-styled experts and really spend some time thinking about what it means for us to use AI responsibly and ethically. Explainable AI is a real thing. I can go to Hugging Face right now and watch how a 23-year-old did it. It's not like it's magic. It just means we have to pay attention.
Excellent insights there. And so, as we start paying attention, how do lenders start getting involved with AI and doing it responsibly? Where do they start taking some steps? I mean, I'm looking at it and I see people are doing it with document handling. People are trying to do it with risk evaluation. People are dipping their toes and doing it and using it for fraud detection or some loan decisioning, but that's now you got to start being careful. Is it loan
Yeah.
decisioning? Is it credit worthiness? Now it's kind of that slippery slope. So, where are you seeing some examples that are positive examples of where people have kind of started using AI in lending and are starting to get some results? And then maybe some, tales of caution of where people still need to kind of proceed a little bit more slowly.
I think that the smart way to approach AI is, frog in the pot. You really need to address and choose very specific use cases so that you can build in what makes the most sense for your organization. What I am seeing is that we've been using AI for 30 years. I mean, and so when people are all of a sudden, generative AI is new.
Yep.
But generative AI was built on the AI that we have been using for a long time. And I think as an industry, we have to be very cautious because we're sending up these, dog whistles to regulators as though this is new and we're just layering it on top of our old processes. AUS has been around since the 90s. Discriminative AI has been, and business rules based AI has been a new thing, has been around for a long time. Generative AI, where you're seeing it create and being able to create content, that's relatively new. Where I'm seeing a lot of work right now is in people looking at things that can really improve not only the process, how we can manage, but also in maintaining. I'm doing an article and it was a great piece that was written by David Autor, I think his name is, Autor. And he wrote a piece that was called, Will AI Save the Middle Class? And I think it's a fascinating place because just as you talked about how once upon a time we had to democratize the use of the internet, we're going to have to democratize and have a lot of skill training for our employees because right now, a lot of the executive jobs, especially, a lot of the knowledge-based jobs, the people who know stuff in our industry, I used to call them the spider, right? They were the ones who knew all of your overlays. They knew all of your investors. They knew all the problems that could happen. Right now, we have the ability to codify that into a language model that everyone can use. And you don't have to go to, Sarah who's the most expensive employee in the stack, and tax her time, she can be doing some really specific credit risk policy work, whereas I, who may only have 2 or 3 years in underwriting, have the access to the same information in the same way that she's getting it. It's really a fascinating place to be.
I couldn't agree more. And I think those dynamics are going to play out. And some employees will feel, the Sarahs of the world are going to feel very threatened
Yes.
if it is not run properly at their organization, and the organization is not only using that knowledge from Sarah to build that model, but also then retraining and giving her another pathway to succeed at that company, right?
100%. I want to address one other thing you said, which was fear, right? I kind of tease about this because, I spend so much time looking at AI, working with companies on AI, assessing where they are and where they might be able to layer in some of these tools and whatnot. And I hear a lot of fear. Like, do you want to play a game? John Connor is coming. And as I try to remember them, see if your car can get you to Home Depot without sending you through the Gulf of Mexico before you're worried about whether we're all going to die from it.
No, and that fear, though, I think some people use it as an excuse, and some people don't adhere to it at all, and that can be very dangerous too. We've got a couple more minutes, Ruth, and you have so much to share. You're going to come back numerous times so that you can share a lot of the things. Where do you think people should start investing more time with AI as it relates to lending, as it relates to where can they find some quick wins? And I'll give you an example. I've seen a new tool out there now that can analyze all loan officer phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And with analyzing the sentiment, can really tune in, and with 89% accuracy on the first call, it can predict, will that loan close?
Yes. That type of sentiment analysis is 100%, because you think about not only using it with your loan officers, but using it in client success. Servicers have the opportunity. You can really fine tune and tailor products directly to that borrower. You have the ability to help loan officers who may not have an enormous amount of sales experience. And I think what we're all seeing is, after the last few years, a lot of the sales skill from our, we had a storied sales world that was here, and the sales skill has really gotten very rusty.
Correct.
And so having people and as well as the customer, the know your customer, they've changed. They are different. They're millennials. They're Gen A's. There's just different. And what they are looking for and how they are looking to be communicated with and supported is different. And for us, as we are building the skill set for our next evolution into 2030, we should be paying attention to what the predictions and the sentiment analysis allows us to get as insights into those borrowers' needs. Why it's only excellent if we serve them better.
I couldn't agree more. And on that note, Ruth, I can't thank you enough for being a guest on this episode. If people want to get a hold of you, if they want to have deeper discussions with you, what's the best way they can do that?
I always remember it's ruth.lee@getbigthink.com, or you can go to my website, getbigthink.com, and book a call with me. We go through an analysis, and usually I provide you with some free consulting that says I can or I can't help you, because at the end of the day, there's so many people out there who are looking for solid solutions. I'm not here to waste anybody's time.
Ruth, thank you so much for being a guest on AI in Lending.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael.